So, I guess this is question time, isn't it? So, any more question, or have you kind of come to, oh yes,
yeah.
You had a question, didn't you?
I have a dilemma, and it's about the self.
Precepts, yes.
The self, a dilemma about the self.
Oh, self, sorry.
Which is that between the ultimate absolute reality and the relative one in which laypersons like me live,
yes.
How does one juggle the need to dissolve the self and also to reclaim the self when, you know, in a very patriarchal society like India's, women are not allowed to even aspire to study, to work.
Are they? No.
You know, so if there is someone who's oppressed, in this case a woman, how does one balance that reclaiming of the self, yet the undoing of the self?
It's a mega topic, isn't it? For one thing, we don't dissolve the self. Do you remember what I said in the first session? You know, self comes and goes, and it's a thought, you know. So you don't dissolve the self. You understand that the self never exists in the way you thought it did. It's not permanent. It's not substantial. You know, thoughts are empty. Remember, if you look at if you meditate, you begin to see clearliness. The unsubstantiality of thoughts. You know, they have no substance. You believe in them, then you make them substantial. But you can, at some point, you can relate to thought in a very freeing way. Thoughts are just a thought, like feeling. I don't have to make feeling mine. You know, feeling sometimes can come from other people. I'm fine. Somebody sat next to me. I pick up the bug. It's just kind of, we're not as, you know, as kind of compartmented as we think, or as, how do you say, you know, as kind of sort of separate as we think. Yeah. So now, coming to the next step, where how do you act on the sense of self, you know? But I mentioned that before, that wanting to do something, you know, most of the time in our society, unfortunately, we start from being, from revolting, sort of from rebelling. Yes? You want to rebel about something that you find is wrong. And this rebellion feeling comes from anger, which is okay, you know. You don't need to judge your anger. You don't need to feel bad about it. You just look at the result. Most people don't look at the result of their anger, so they keep going for a lifetime, angry all the time, because they haven't seen that maybe it doesn't lead anywhere. Or maybe they look at all the people who have had a lot of anger and it led them somewhere, but on the way they either died or killed a few people. That's one way of doing it. So, how to be, you know, put in something on the path of Buddhism? That's a good question, indeed. And in a way, it's difficult to make people understand that it's possible to do something without anger. And you have one of the most famous men in the world that have done this job in the world, called Gandhi, non-violent actions, okay? He managed to get the Brits out of India. It's pretty good, huh? I mean, has never happened anywhere else, has it? When you think about it. So, why should you look for another example? No, now if you want the women having equal rights and so on, this is an important topic in the world. Everybody talks about women and rights and so on, even in the monastic life, the bhikkhuni order, which is like wanting the women to be priests, like in the Anglican tradition, for example, male, female priest and male priest, So it's important that for women to have access to education, for example, access to, like Ajahn Sumedho, I said, as long as the nuns have access to the teaching and can teach, that's what he felt was important. Can pass on that same the experience and help others. Right? We're not trying to get money out of it, or we're not trying to get fame or anything like that. You're just sharing one's realization, experience, that can maybe facilitate others to free their mind from pain without dilly-dallying for too long because they don't know anything or how to do it, So, I don't even, in a way, I was not a kind of, I didn't go on demonstration and big kind of rally, proactive and political avenue or situation, I've never been like that, so I can't really relate to. But I do feel a lot of respect for people who wants to do that, because sometimes when it is non-violent, or when it is done with wisdom, it can be helpful. You can see that there is a lot of now movements that want to change the world without being violent throughout the world. Nothing comes to mind at this very moment, but even in the political arena, like in France, the yellow vest, you've heard about it, threatening our new president to be ousted almost, if they're not careful. There's one country in the world, you don't realize that, I don't know what you think about India, but one country in the world where a friend of mine told me once, he's English but lives in the States, and he was telling me that in France is that one country where the government really fear the people. They already have a revolution, remember, where they cut the head of all the queens and queen and king, right? So they were not frightened to kind of get rid of the royalty. So of course the government might be next, you don't know. But we need a government in France, so obviously. But even those political groups, wanted to have a non-violent manifestation, So I think there's a great interest with, the knowledge of we have now Buddhism and other non-violent teaching and so on, to be able to, and Gandhi was a great example, to be able to make a stance, to really make a point through non-violent means. Now, for education of women, equality and so on, well, it's happening already. I don't think you are uneducated, are you?
No, I wasn't talking about myself, but
but listen,
still a lot.
If you look at all the women here, they're all educated, I have no doubt, not just on a primary school, secondary school, but also university and so on. So it's very important when you look at the situation, if you want a balanced view on something and less anger, you can also begin to reflect, what has happened, how much good has happened. You start seeing the world in a more balanced way. Otherwise it's all bad, 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 kill, 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 and get rid of it. You have to see the good things that have happened. And, society is slow to move. Habits are slow to move. Prejudices are slow to disappear. But this work is needed, because for me, I wasn't a feminist in the street, but I had my 10 years of feminist, revolution inside, which it wasn't a revolution, it's about becoming conscious. When you become conscious of how the women are treated, it's not trying to beat the men or anything like that, it's say, hey, can you wake up? in your way, the way you think about women? Can you wake up in the way you write about women? Can you wake up in the way you perceive women? That's all. So from the Buddhist point of view, you have to wake up to all these prejudices we have, to all these, which are very painful. The Buddha says it's painful to have, fixed opinions and being frightened to change anything, In a way, meditation is constant revolution in you, because you keep letting go, you don't know what's coming, and, the karma arrives, disappear, and so on. There was a time I didn't want to be a sweet little nun, I never be a sweet little nun, but, smiling and friendly with everybody, and God, I couldn't stand it, I just want to zen, straight, no smiling, nothing. Because I couldn't stop smiling, because I'm a smile. I like to laugh, so it's hard to stop. But what I mean is that, things are slow to change. We have had changes in the nuns community, for example, But for me, it's always happened because I didn't expect anything. So my experience might not be the standard experience of most women, who are really conscious of something not right. And for me, I realized that one day I was on my own spending the Vasa in a monastery. It wasn't a monastery. It was at IMS, in America. Where I was teaching, I taught several retreats there, and I spent the Vasa, 2001, I think, there. And I remember once I had a radio, and once I just pushed it down, and it was extraordinary, because it was obviously a great awakening moment, because it was interesting. It was a program on a professor who had done the study of the letters written about women and over, at a time over 200 years. So he started from the beginning 200 years ago until 2001, or maybe earlier on. And it was so shocking, the way women were written about. It was absolutely terrible. Even though there has been great women over the ages, but the way those letters were perceiving women and talking about women and writing about women, you wouldn't believe nowadays if you had those letters in front of you and you were reading this publicly, you prove that this feminist movement is necessary, not as a kind of making the men feel bad, because that's really even worse if you do that, since most of them earn a living in many society of all countries, But now the women are also doing that, are the power of the family. Like when they say, have you had a daughter? Or, the idea we have, and maybe it's true, I know in Thailand in the old days, it's like you prefer to have a boy. And at first say, wow, you've rebelled, the boys, But, it's practical. If the boys is going to stay in the family and going to earn a living for mom and dad as well, and the girl is married into another family, in a way there's a part of nature that needs to have a bigger mind to consider how society organizes themselves in a way that eventually is not, when women are becoming strong, then things have to change and shift, and we have to think differently, which is happening in this time a lot already. But prejudices will take a long time. So, if you look at the government, for example, observe the government in France. The new presidents over the last 10 years, I say. Well, it's quite impressive when you think that when Sarkozy got elected, he had 17 women ministers, 17 male ministers, The same has gone on. Of course, it's not always having a woman because she's a woman is one good thing for the women, but sometimes she might not be the best person. So the men has to also have their little moment of disapproval, disagreement, because if we don't give them the space for that, that maybe she might not be the right person. Now, of course, because we know so much about psychology, we know so much about psychotherapeutic training and psychotherapeutic, work on ourselves and so on, we know that also the women have had to really work really, really hard to be accepted by men. Why will men accept the women according to their standard and not the other way around? So this is what's happening. You see, at the moment, it's a crucial time when we are, beginning to see the differences, the lack of understanding of why we want to change things, okay? And then the two sexes, in a way, not being able to talk to each other in a really true way, with the truth, what they feel. Each one can take to each other with what they feel. Because, unfortunately, when we criticize somebody, or let's say, I'm going to start differently. When you say something that is upsetting, I don't know, immediately the other person feel you're criticizing them. You notice that? This is just a feeling, but it's taken so heavily that you want to punch them back. This is a delusion, you see. That's why we imprison people so they don't say anything that we don't want to hear. Do you understand? Instead of saying, this is a feeling right now, not even mine, the Buddha says, quote unquote. And yet, we feel immediately on the attack. They're attacking me. Your wife says, I feel really depressed, for the last 3 months. So you start, what's the matter with you? Did I do something wrong? You might not say it because you want to save your skin, maybe. In case your other half starts getting, uppity about things. Yeah? But you start feeling guilty, something wrong. So often we don't feel for the men, also. They're as human and sensitive as the women, they just have a pretense of a tough skin, that's all. Because from a little babyhood, they can't do anything that the girls can do. We have the freedom, we can dance and be really silly, we can cry and everybody comes around, oh, the little girl. Maybe they are jealous of us. We don't know. Maybe they are jealous that they get so much attention for all their tears. And then I want to cry, but I'm being told, don't cry, you're a man. And I can't get my little kind of attention, my group attention, my groupies around me, because I'm a boy. I've got to be toughened up, look serious. Right? So I think it's going to be a while before we understand each other. Do you understand? The first things, I think somebody, Deepti, you were talking about teaching communication. Communication, I think, is a great skill we need to develop, because once you start meditating, we're all very good. Silent for 10 days. The whole world functions perfectly right now. I have nothing to say, nobody's talking to me. Brilliant. Let me spend a whole life in meditation. Right? You come out of the meditation, you may have fallen in love with 2 or 3 men, 2 or 3 women or something, they look good. By the time they open their mouths in the kitchen or dining room, it's like, oh my God, what did I do? It's called Vipassana romance, They're very famous in America, romance. Vipassana romance. Yeah. And so you can see the world function on a complete delusionary perception of each other, No wonder the world is in a mess. And now that the women are vocal, visible and loud sometimes, that really shakes the boat, doesn't it? What do I do, the poor men, I still remember a friend of mine in America who used to say, my wife, she goes away, you can't come to that club, it's just for women. He was really upset. Mind you, there are plenty of men's clubs in London where the women were not accepted, so maybe it's good for them to experience how you feel to be rejected from the men's club. But now there's a women's club, you see. Only the women could go to that particular place and have parties and whatever. So, what do we do with the self that doesn't need to be dissolved? On the contrary, it's not a self. We don't need a self to live. You know? Life is there you have all the six senses, and you don't need to have a fixed entity there to function. Wisdom is really how to see. People, you work with people. You're not just the only one who need to change the world. You have, once a view is becoming more healthy, more in harmony with Dhamma, you say, with the truth, when people get to see what the truth is. If you present to a group of men who have been, calmed down, that's not their fault, just conditioning. We're not feeling beaten up as a man, it's just the conditioning is not right, something not good. Especially when you don't want young women to be educated. But when I look at all these things, the world will never be right. You understand? Like we have a humorist in France, who talk about people coming from North Africa and some of the colonies of France, and you talk about Charlemagne and Vercingetorix, all the kind of great guys from the the early history of France. What do they have to do with that? What do they want to know when Charlemagne existed or not? That's the history of France. Of course, if they're in France, they have to. That's what you're offered in France. You're not going to be offered a history of Africa or Congo or whatever. You offer the story of France. But some people want now everything. It's like we used to call the planet a global village. Right? When it started, we didn't have any idea what would life living in a global village. When every internet little box there takes you to the most remote country in the world, you know everything. If you have a good machine, you probably know everything. When people go to the loo, want to go to the loo, when they go to their bedroom, when they don't, God knows what's going on, how many people are spying on everybody else. You could be really totally paranoid if you think about these things. That's why in Buddhism, you start looking at the mind, clear the mind, you take the precepts, get a good foundation for the connection of your life. There's a great sutta called the Sigala Sutta, right? It's a teaching for lay people. The Buddha described in great details, what kind of friend you need to have. Everything, everything. If I find it for you, I'll ask Alpon to print it, because it's really it's a bit old-fashioned, but it's still worth reading it. But most of it applies to today. And so, there's a lot of work to do. But when you begin to see that the whole thing is truly a set of conditioning, karmic conditioning, rising and passing away, and people have attached to this, and fortunately the Buddhist teaching is coming here to actually starting to move on and transform the mind. You don't have to change even your religion, you don't have to do anything. In Buddhism, you're asked not to criticize other people, to watch the critical mind. You don't kill the critical mind, you watch it, you observe it. But there are other ways to deal with life than just criticizing somebody to death so they kind of bow down and agree with you finally. That's not the means to a happy end. Do you understand? So we have to be prepared to be patient. because things don't come about so easily. But if you keep focusing on what's wrong and wrong and wrong, it's hopeless. You might become utterly depressed and miserable. Work. Even in a monastic community, you have the same mind. You know, it's like the mind continues. It's not because you put on a robe that suddenly you turn into an arahant, or even the first step on the path of purification. You know, it takes training to actually know your mind and know what works, what doesn't work. I know in community, at some point, wisdom and compassion are really the only thing that works when you live with people. Kindness. If there's none of that, it's just a group of, like a tribe of, you know, unkind people. I'm sort of a tribe, a sort of tribe completely unrefined, you know, and kind of, it will be animals. Animals just fight for themselves all the time. So, in a way, you can only find the solution that you need to find for yourself. You are the example in your life for other people, do you understand? So many people suffer nowadays because the world is not right, because they know the world is not right, because they hear 10 times a day on the news that the world is right, because they hear other people who hear 10 times a day that the news are not right, that the world is not right, that life is wrong, that people are wrong, and so on. How do you want the world to be happy? When the Buddha says, if you really want a happy mind, recollect the goodness of your life. Recollect the good things you've done today. And if you remember, if you forget it, just write it down. Just for you to read before you go to sleep. If you forget it. At some point you don't forget it so easily. You don't need to write it down. You're committed to the good, you know, it's stable, it's stabilized. It's not something you want to return back to the old ways anymore. It doesn't work so well. So, you know, I'm living, you know, I'm not an example because in a way I'm living a benevolent family, you know. But I tell you, the kilesa are not benevolent. Although there's the skin and the body and the robe, still, we are at a level when you meditate, you feel the kilesa, not just of your kilesa, but other people's kilesa. And you live with an intense soup of kilesa. Do you understand? It's not the world that is so easy. It's intensified. And you know, I was really glad when a friend of Ajahn Sundara, who became the abbess of a community of Anglican, it's an Anglican order, she said, you know, a community of 12 nuns, she said it's like when you go into the community, you just carry your cross. You know, you're not going there for fun and happiness and protection for society. You enter the fire of the mind. You know, you enter the fire of pain. Of the pain of the world, of the pain of the mind. So the Buddha has a way of dealing with that through making us understand the vulnerable truth, the dukkha of the world, dukkha of the mind, the cause. He tells us clearly. We have such a clear map of the mind in the Buddhist teaching. No psychologists have that, you know. No psychiatrists have this map clear, so clear, which works if you start meditating and if you have kind teacher who are happy to help you, or experienced teacher. You see, that's why we have a monastic sangha. Monastic sangha is made of people just like you. You know, you start, you become, and you dedicate your life to the path of practice. But one of the things, it enables the continuation of this teaching and the path for future generation. Do you understand? So, I don't know where that leaves you, but hopefully, did you get a bit of help with that? Yeah? So don't make your mind miserable. Hang out with people who have clear-minded, and our sort of duties as women is really to develop the quality we have already of kindness, compassion, and forgiveness, which the men have too. But at least we can cry with each other without feeling weakened. Maybe you should be crying club for the men. There's lots of tissues. When we cry, I don't know, it's so true, but if you're so caught up in thinking, you don't feel anymore. You don't feel. It doesn't take much to cry. You say to somebody so many times, you got this woman really strong, kind of, headache, like confident, and you just push a little button, nothing much, you don't even do it. You just have to say one little thing, how are you feeling? You got, a Niagara fall of tears. Doesn't take much. So have the women ever thought what the men needs, maybe? I'm not saying you do, by the way. I don't project anything on anybody. You see, we all suffer. We all have dukkha. We all feel prejudiced. One friend of mine, he told me quietly once, in public, it's not. He said he felt always that he was a bad husband. He had a beautiful wife, a yoga teacher. They were wealthy and so on, And she walked out one day. He couldn't understand. And then he said to me that he felt always a bad husband. He was working all the time. And being an American woman, you just want to interact, and at the end of the day, how are you? What you're feeling and feelings. How are you? And then, at some point she didn't get that. She just walked out. What's sad that he didn't feel like a good husband. Isn't it terrible? Many men think they're not a good husband. Do you know that? More than you think. I don't hear very often. But maybe consider that, that as an act of compassion. And not being a good husband, it doesn't mean the person is not good. It's just a perception of how you should be might not be in place. How you should be, quote unquote, might not be certainly seen clearly. That it is just a projection of an ideal of some sort. So it's probably enough compassion for the women, compassion for the men. And if you have a plan to do something, start now with compassion in your heart. Deal with conflict with compassion as well. You can't blame it on anything when you have somebody like Gandhi who managed to get, as I said, the Brits out of, and they're tough, they're tough people. And managed to do that without any war or anything. But look what it cost him also. He became a pilgrim, a sadhu. So maybe it has a price also. And in a way, as we practice Dhamma, we're also attuning to the path of, we're not sadhus, but we are tuning on the path of truth, So sometimes people don't realize you can't have the world, you can't have necessarily the world and the peace and the love and the happiness, of a mind that's a higher mind, a mind liberated from the demons of greed, hatred, and delusions, But here we are in this room. You're really interested in that, so we don't have to go out of this room and start going to your friend and saying, I notice you haven't done the right word because Ajahn Sundara said, you should compassionate, you should do that compassionately, not beat your mother up verbally or physically, I said, don't worry about it. Just offer your mother a nice cup of chai, sit down with your friend, just offer them something nice. We're all human, Do something kind. People are always touched by kindness, even if they pretend they are not. Just accumulate a bit of kindness, and suddenly the karma changes. Don't ever doubt this. So maybe I forget, Mr. Da is so generous with me, talking, that I just can't believe that I would have so much freedom and space. I was frightened to be going by one sentence at a time or two sentences at a time, I said, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to cope, because I tend to flow like this. But I was reassured quickly. Do you need a bit more light? Yeah, there's light here.
आपका प्रश्न था? आपका प्रश्न था कि हम किस तरह से जो दो हमारे आयाम हैं, एक संसार में रहने का, खासतौर पे एक भारत की पेट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी में जहाँ औरतों को उतना अधिकार नहीं दिया था, यहाँ तक कि पढ़ने भी नहीं दिया गया था, और दूसरा कि हम सेल्फ को डिजॉल्व करें और उधर से फिर सेल्फ में आएँ और वैसा एक्शन करें, तो ये कैसे हम हाउ डू वी जगल बिटवीन दीज टू सिचुएशन, ये दो जो आयाम हैं जो विपरीत लगते हैं, उन दोनों में कैसे एक साथ रह पाएँ। तो आचार्य ने उत्तर दिया कि हमको सेल्फ को कोई डिजॉल्व करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि डिजॉल्व उसी को करते हैं जो कुछ जिसका कोई सब्सटेंस हो। ये सेल्फ तो एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करता, तो इसको डिजॉल्व करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, इसको समझने की ज़रूरत है। जो हमारा मैं का भाव है वो एक विचार है केवल, और विचार का अपना कोई अस्तित्व नहीं होता, विचार उठता है और समाप्त हो जाता है। हाँ, जो उसके कारण जो फीलिंग्स होती हैं वो हमको ज़रूर बांध के रखती हैं, और फीलिंग्स तो कई कारणों से आती हैं, जैसा हम जानते हैं, सराउंडिंग से भी, बाहर से भी। और अगर हम किसी भी इनजस्टिस के प्रति रेबेलियन करते हैं और उसके प्रति गुस्सा करते हैं, तो उससे लाभ नहीं होने वाला, क्योंकि हम सब जानते हैं कि गुस्से का क्या परिणाम होता है। और जो भी काम कई बार हमको ऐसा लगता है कि उसने गुस्से करके कुछ आप प्राप्त कर लिया, लेकिन वो एक गलत परसेप्शन है, क्योंकि सचमुच में गुस्से करने से नुकसान भी होता है, काफ़ी हद तक नुकसान होता है। तो प्रश्न ये, उन्होंने उसको प्रश्न को इस तरह से चेंज किया कि हम भगवान के मार्ग पर प्रोएक्टिव कैसे बने क्या। तो आपका सुझाव था कि हम गुस्सा करके अगर किसी भी परिस्थिति के प्रति, एक अन्याय के प्रति गुस्सा करके कुछ करने की कोशिश करेंगे तो वो शायद उतना लाभकारी नहीं होगा। और आपने उदाहरण दिया महात्मा गांधी का, जैसे उन्होंने इस तरह से बगैर गुस्सा किए इतना बड़ा काम करके दिखाया और विदेश अंग्रेजों को भारत से निकाला। तो कहते हैं उसी तरह से हमको भी जो भी समाज में असमानताएं हैं उनको हटाने के लिए काम करना चाहिए। ये बात सत्य है कि औरतों को भी बराबर के राइट्स होने चाहिए, और सब जितनी एक्सेस उनको एजुकेशन की तरफ है वो होनी चाहिए। उन्होंने बताया कि अजान सुमेधो का ये था व्यू था कि जो नन्स हैं उनको भी पढ़ाने की उतनी एक्सेस होनी चाहिए ताकि वो भी अपना रियलाइजेशन, अपनी इंसाइट शेयर कर सकें। लेकिन उसके लिए आगे उन्होंने कहा कि मैं पर्सनली कभी किसी डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन या इस तरह के फेमिनिस्ट मूवमेंट में नहीं गई हूँ, लेकिन मैं समझ सकती हूँ कि वो जो एक्टिविस्ट हैं उनका क्या नज़रिया है, और उनका आदर भी करती हूँ। और फ्रांस जैसे देश में जहाँ पे कि हिस्ट्री है रिवोल्यूशन की, जहाँ सारे राजा रानियों को मार दिया था लोगों ने, तो वहाँ पे जनरली सरकार जो है लोगों से डरती है, ऐसा परसेप्शन है। लेकिन उनका बार बार यही कहना था कि जो नॉन वायलेंटली जो काम किया जा सकता है, वायलेंस से जो काम किया था उसका अपना दुष्प्रभाव भी होता है। नॉन वायलेंटली अगर काम किया जाए, जैसे गांधी जी का उदाहरण है, उससे शायद ज़्यादा, चाहे वो वुमेन एजुकेशन के बारे में हो या सोसाइटी के अंदर जो प्रेजुडिसेस हैं वुमेन के प्रति, औरतों के प्रति जो पूर्वाग्रह हैं उनको हटाने की बात हो। लेकिन उन्होंने ये भी क्वेश्चन किया कि सोसाइटी में जो बदलाव है वो धीरे धीरे ही होता है, उसमें समय लगता है, और जिस तरह से समाज में लिखा जाता है, औरतों के बारे में कहा जाता है, वो सचमुच में उचित नहीं है। लेकिन अगर हम देखें जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन होती है मेडिटेशन से, वो भी एक तरह से हमको मदद कर सकती है समझने में कि हमको पेशेंटली काम करना चाहिए। और जैसे भगवान की शिक्षा में भी आता है कि पेशेंस बहुत भारी तप है एक तरह से। तो आपका कहना था कि किसी भी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के लिए पेशेंस की बहुत आवश्यकता है, धैर्य की बहुत आवश्यकता है। आपने उदाहरण दिया कि आप IMS में USA में वासा में थी 2001 में, तो वहाँ रेडियो प्रोग्राम उन्होंने एक संयोग से सुना जिसमें बताया गया था कि पिछले 200 वर्षों में, 2001 से पहले के 200 वर्षों में किस तरह की चीज़ें औरतों के बारे में लिखी गई थी, और वो सब कुछ इतनी भयानक थी कि आज शायद आज हम विश्वास भी नहीं कर सकते। तो उससे लगता है कि इस तरह की फेमिनिस्ट मूवमेंट, एक्टिविस्ट मूवमेंट आवश्यक है, लेकिन उसका उद्देश्य ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि हम पुरुषों को दिखाएं कि उनके बारे में कि वो बहुत गलत हैं, एक पूरा समाज गलत है। हमको ये भी समझना चाहिए कि समाज की इस तरह की अवधारणा क्या है, इस समय की परिस्थिति जो प्रैग्मेटिक स्टेट क्या है, कि भारत में जैसे कहा जाता है कि किसी घर में बेटा हो तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है, वो भाव जो रहता है उसका एक इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट भी है, क्योंकि लड़की शादी होकर चली जाती है और बेटा ही है जो परिवार को संभालने का उत्तरदायित्व रखता है, ऐसा विश्वास है। ये होता है कि नहीं वो बात अलग है, लेकिन ऐसा विश्वास है, और इस कारण से ये प्रेफरेंसेस आ जाती हैं, लड़के और लड़कियों के आपस में जो प्रेफरेंसेस की बात आ जाती है। उन्होंने कहा कि जैसे फ्रांस में जो पिछले सरकार थे उसमें महिलाओं और पुरुषों का समावेश बराबर था। 17 महिलाएं मंत्री थी, 17 पुरुष थे। लेकिन कई बार लोग सोचते हैं कि क्या किसी को मंत्री सिर्फ इसलिए बना दिया गया कि वो महिला है, तो पुरुष को लगता है कि ये तो शी वाज नॉट द बेस्ट पर्सन, तो उचित नहीं थी, लेकिन केवल महिला होने के कारण उसको बना दिया। तो उस तरह से डिवर्स जो हमारी प्रेजुडिसेस हैं वो थोड़ी स्ट्रेंथन होने की बात रहती है। तो जो पुरुष और स्त्री हैं उनको आपस में ऐसा एक संवाद रखना चाहिए कि हम दोनों को आपस में एक दूसरे के प्रति आदर का संवाद रहे। हमें ये भी समझना चाहिए, ये साइकोलॉजी की जो बात है, कि जब भी हम किसी को कुछ अपसेट करके भी बात कहते हैं किसी से भी, चाहे स्त्री पुरुष से कहे कि पुरुष स्त्री से, तो वो एक तरह से क्रिटिसिज्म, दूसरे को क्रिटिसिज्म लगता है। बिकॉज हमारी आदत होती है कि हम हर चीज को पर्सनली ले लेते हैं, क्योंकि बेसिक डिल्यूजन सेल्फ का तो रहता ही है। तो फिर संवाद जो है वो टूट जाता है, क्योंकि जब आप पर्सनली लेते हैं और मुझे आपको लगता है कि ये मुझे अटैक किया जा रहा है, तो जो उस बात कहने का अच्छा रिस्पांस होना था वो रिस्पांस अच्छा नहीं आता है। जैसे उन्होंने उदाहरण दिया कि एक महिला ने अपने पति से मान लीजिए कहा कि मैं बहुत डिप्रेस हूँ, तो पति सोचने लगता है कि क्या मेरे कारण हो रहा है, तो मेरा कोई इसमें रोल है, तो उससे एक अपराध भोग जाता है, वो सब दिक्कत पैदा करता है आपसी रिलेशनशिप में। उन्होंने एक और बात जो उदाहरण, एक जो दृष्टांत के तौर से ली, कि शायद कुछ इस हद तक पुरुषों और महिलाओं में फर्क ये भी है कि बचपन से ही बच्चों को बताया जाता है, लड़कों को, कि लड़के तो रोते नहीं हैं और लड़कियां तो रो सकती हैं, और इस कारण से उनको ज्यादा अटेंशन मिलता है। लड़कों को लगता है कि शायद हमको टफ होना चाहिए, अंदर उनके कितना भी द्वेष, कितना भी दुख हो, वो बाहर से एक आवरण बना के रखते हैं, और उस कारण से डिप्रेशन से भी उनके व्यवहार में फर्क पड़ने का कारण हो सकता है। एक बात जो है उन्होंने बहुत स्पष्ट कई बार दोहराई भी, कि हम संसार में को एक मेडिटेशन रिट्रीट की नजरिए से देखते हैं कि एक मेडिटेशन रिट्रीट में जा रहे हैं, सब कुछ शांत है, सब लोग अच्छे व्यवहार कर रहे हैं, और बाहर जाते ही हमको एकदम धक्का लगता है कि यहाँ तो सब कुछ परसेप्शंस सारे अजीब से हैं। तो संसार में और मेडिटेशन रिट्रीट में फर्क को हमको नेविगेट करना चाहिए, हमको समझना चाहिए उस बात को। तो कई उदाहरण ने दिए महिलाओं का कि वो क्लब में जाती थी जहाँ महिलाएं जाती हैं, तो हस्बैंड ने कहा कि हम क्यों नहीं जा सकते, और महिला कहती कि आपके क्लब भी ऐसे हैं। तो इस तरह से जो संवाद हैं वो लाभकारी नहीं होते एक दूसरे को अंडरस्टैंड करने में। अगर हम धर्म के अनुसार आचरण करें, मन को संयमित करके आचरण करें, और जो कंडीशनिंग है उसको जाने कि ये कंडीशनिंग है, और उसको मद्देनजर रखते हुए संसार की तरफ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के लिए काम करें, तो उसमें कोई दोष की बात नहीं है। कि संसार एक आजकल के जो इंटरनेट के युग में सारा संसार इतना जुड़ा हुआ है, तो उसका भी असर हमारे एक दूसरे के ऊपर पड़ते हैं। तो लेकिन हम अगर हमारा चित्त अगर स्पष्ट है, अगर साधना से हमारा चित्त क्लियर है, तो हम शील का पालन करते हैं, साधना करते हैं, तो एक हमारा नजरिया संसार के प्रति और परिवार के प्रति एक जैसा हो जाता है। तो उन्होंने सिगालोवाद सूत्र जो हमने पढ़ा था उसका उदाहरण दिया था कि उसमें काफी डिटेल में गृहस्थों के लिए एडवाइस दिया गया है। हालांकि वो इतना पुराना है, फिर भी वो अभी भी उसका औचित्य है कि किस तरह से हम पति को पत्नी से, पत्नी को पति से, और सारे परिवार को एक दूसरे से व्यवहार करना चाहिए। जो भी हमारी कार्मिक कंडीशनिंग है उन्हें वो भी उसके तरफ भी ध्यान रखेंगे, तो जो क्रिटिकल होने की जो टेंडेंसी रहती है, क्रिटिसाइज करने की जो टेंडेंसी रहती है, और उससे दूसरा सेल्फ डिफेंस में चला जाता है, उसको हम उससे हम बच सकते हैं। हम समझ सकते हैं कि अपना एक काम, एक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन करने के लिए क्रिटिसिज्म ही एक तरीका नहीं, और भी तरीके हो सकते हैं। मैत्री का, प्रज्ञा का तरीका भी हो सकता है। मैंने बताया कि मोनास्ट्रीज में भी इस तरह की परिस्थितियां आती हैं, ऐसा नहीं कि वहाँ ऐसी परिस्थितियां नहीं आती, लेकिन अगर हम प्रज्ञा और करुणा से काम करें, व्यवहार करें आपस में, तो अधिकतर प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाती हैं। एक और बात जो उन्होंने हमारा ध्यान आकर्षित किया कि इस समय संसार में जो न्यूज हैं, जो समाचार हैं, जो मीडिया है, उसमें अधिकतर बातें यही आती हैं कि व्हाट इज रॉन्ग विद द वर्ल्ड, संसार में क्या गलत हो रहा है, यहाँ पे गलत है, लोग यहाँ पे गलत काम कर रहे हैं। ऐसा करने से सारे मानस जो हमारा दूषित हो जाता है, और उस दूषित मानस से फिर हम एक एवर्सिव टेंडेंसीज हमारे सामने आती हैं। हमको इस बारे में भी चिंतन करना चाहिए कि कितना का भी काम कर सकते हैं, और उस पॉजिटिविटी से अगर हम कोई ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन करेंगे तो उसमें सफलता का ज्यादा पॉसिबिलिटी रहती है। तो मैं एक मित्र की बात कही जो एंग्लिकन ऑर्डर की एबिस थे, कि और बताया कि हम जब जा रहे हैं कम्युनिटी में, देन वी कैरी द क्रॉस विद अस, मतलब जो कम्युनिटी में जाना है वहाँ पे एक कष्ट और दुख और परिस्थिति और विषम परिस्थितियों को सामना करना है, और भगवान की जो शिक्षा है हमारे लिए, वो इस ऐसे संसार में जहाँ विषम परिस्थितियाँ हैं, उसको कैसे हम उसमें ठीक से जी सकें, अपना मन साफ करके, और जो 4 आर्य सत्यों का जो पैराडाइम भगवान ने दिया है दुख का समझने का, दुख के कारण को समझने का, वो किसी भी साइकोलॉजिस्ट और साइकेट्रिस्ट के पास उपलब्ध नहीं है। अगर हम उस पैराडाइम को ठीक से समझें तो एक हम सचमुच में हमारे में एक करुणा का भाव जागता है, मैत्री का भाव जागता है। और अगर उस सब पैराडाइम को समझने के लिए हमारे पास संघ का आशीर्वाद हो, हम उनसे इंटरेक्ट करें, तो संघ का एक उदाहरण उन्होंने कहा कि एक उद्देश्य संघ का ये भी रहा है कि हम समाज में भगवान की शिक्षा को फैलाएं और उनको लोगों को मदद करें ताकि भविष्य तक भी आगे तक चल सके। तो उस हिसाब से संघ का भी एक रोल इस प्रक्रिया में हो सकता है। तो आपने बार बार यही कहा कि करुणा और प्रज्ञा से और मैत्री से ही ये जो समाज में विषमताएं हैं उनको हम हटा सकते हैं, कि जो एक्टिविज्म है वो इन मूल्यों पर आधारित हो तो सफल होने का ज्यादा संभावना है, वरना क्रिटिसिज्म से और एक फाइटिंग एटीट्यूड रखने से सफरिंग ही बढ़ती है। और बार बार उन्हें गांधी जी का उदाहरण देके बताया कि किस तरह से उन्होंने इतना बड़ा काम नॉन वायलेंटली किया। और जो प्रेजुडिसेस हैं समाज में जो है उनको बदलने में काफ़ी समय लगती है। और अगर हम बार बार क्रिटिसाइज करते हैं, जैसे उदाहरण उन्होंने दिया एक मित्र का कि उनकी पत्नी बहुत योगा करती थी और अच्छी थी तो वो चली गई छोड़ के, तो उनको ये लगा कि क्या मैं बुरा पति था। वहाँ ये बात थी कि वो बहुत काम करते थे ताकि घर को ठीक से चला सके। तो ये और दूसरा जो परिप्रेक्ष्य है, जैसे हमको ये शिकायत रहती है कि मनुष्य कि पुरुष महिलाओं का परिप्रेक्ष्य नहीं देखते, शायद कई कभी महिलाएं भी पुरुषों का परिप्रेक्ष्य नहीं समझ पाती, उनका परसेप्शन नहीं समझ पाती। तो अगर हम भगवान की शिक्षा के अनुरूप चित्त को निर्मल करके संसार में ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का काम भी करेंगे तो लाभकारी होगा, उसको सफल होने की ज्यादा संभावना होगी।
So we have a few minutes left. If you want to have one more questions, which I hope can remain brief.
Venerable Ajahn, I have two questions, and I think the answer will be long again, but I can just leave you with the questions and we can maybe have the answer later on.
Yeah, can you come a little nearer to me?
Sorry.
Yes.
Both the questions are related to the practice. The first question is that the teachings is about choiceless observation. It is relatively easy for a lay person to observe whatever he or she is doing in his or her daily life. That is kind of doable. On the other hand, the Buddhist teachings also stress upon meditating diligently as if your turban is on fire, because the human realm is very precious and you may die any time. So that suggests to some people like myself that maybe one should be sitting cross-legged, one should be sitting in caves for hours together, one should be going on long courses, one should perhaps become a nun or a monk to achieve this. I know there is nothing to be achieved, but the suggestion is, it's a kind of a paradox that you can do nothing and observe, but on the other hand, you need to sit cross-legged and meditate until you actually do it. You cannot actually reach the ultimate goal of Nibbana. So one was that. And the second question...
Can I answer to the first one, perhaps? That remind me talking to Ajahn Sumedho, it's like, but I had a bit, fortunately I was a bit out of the problem, but still, not completely, because I was asking the question, how can you, look, Ajahn Sumedho, how can you spend so much energy trying somebody who you know doesn't exist? And so much effort in, purifying something that you know is empty and, and not go crazy. And not go mad. If you think about it, that's how it sounds, doesn't it? Well, it's like saying, you remember this book by Ayakema, Being Nobody, Going Nowhere? I don't know if you ever read this book.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going somewhere and you're being somebody, going somewhere, and training is, you have to know how the process of purification of the mind takes place. Without energy, you can't do anything. Energy, effort, and so on. To do nothing takes a huge amount of effort, but skillful effort, So it's a different kind of effort, doing nothing, Choiceless awareness. To be in a choiceless awareness, you probably doesn't realize that your awareness has a lot of wisdom in there. when we are attached to thought and thinking, we think, without my thought and thinking, I can't really produce anything, I can't move anywhere, I will never change, or something cannot happen without me thinking, or pushing, or, Yeah, so it is a dilemma, which is, it's a dilemma, truly, many people don't understand. So, it is a paradox. Also, it's the spiritual life is riddled with paradoxes, to go fast, to slow down, to go somewhere, just give up on going anywhere. So life can carry on without you, do you understand? Without you, it can carry on. So, but the you there is a big mass of conglomeration of me, of fear, of anguish, of frustration, of greed, hatred, and so on. It's that experience of me being really stressed out with the First Noble Truth, you understand? So that's what we do. You have to be, in a way, if you see the illness of the mind clearly, you won't have to ask these questions, because in a way those paradoxes make sense. It's like if you want to be a scientist, you want to look under the microscope really slowly and clearly, and you need to study it for a long, long time before you can get the next medication, right? It's the same for any skills you develop. The skill of liberation is another skill that helps every other skills, I think. But it's not because I get, somebody gets to be an arahant, he can be a superstar dancer or a superstar footballer nowadays, The skills is a skill. So the skill is, when I heard the choiceless awareness from Krishnamurti, for example, or bare attention, it simply meant make sure your mind is well adjusted to see clearly. It's a kind of, it's a level of your microscope that you adjust to see things exactly clearly. Bare attention means like you stop moving with a mind that moves. Yeah? You stop churning, you stop kind of stirring up the waves of your mind that are there. You just look at the waves, but you don't stir them. So that's the role of attention. Attention is not moved by anything, doesn't seem to. It's a refuge of awareness. Seems to be very stable there, if you know how to use it. So words can be very deceptive, and very treacherous in that way, because they can't express paradoxes very well. Opposite. It's very difficult. You have the word paradox that says enough, it's kind of complicated enough to give you a sense that you're trying to convey something difficult to come to terms with together. Yeah? I don't know what that means in Greek, probably from a Greek word or somewhere. But, it is a paradox one has to live with, So, as in some religion, you have, faith can move mountain, right? How does that happen? Normally, to move mountain, you can't even think of moving mountains, but it's an image, isn't it? So. And these paradoxes that we are faced with, we have to just use a practice to see how, many people don't have enough time, enough space, enough energy to actually be a student of the past, To be a student of the past, that's when you need a teacher often, because you need a teacher that can drive your minds, can stop your mind really. I was going to say, it can drive your mind mad crazy. But it's more like can stop your mind. A teacher is you love your teacher that can stop your mind, don't you? Because nothing else will stop it. So when you find somebody who can stop your mind, you really love that person. Especially if you have respect towards them, you know. But most people, their mind will carry on and on and on and on and on at infinitum, you know. So, make peace with paradoxes, right? Remember that when you want to really study something in depth, you can't go too fast, can you? You can't be running. If you want to start, I have somebody I know who studied all kind of animals, you know, but one of them studied squirrels. Did a PhD on squirrels. I always loved that. And I guess to study squirrels, you have to be really attentive, you know, and slow. They're fast. Thoughts are just like that. They run very fast. We have to slow down. Bear attention means simply hold back your judgment, your critical mind, your desire to do this, your desire to do that, your disagreement with the mind, okay, with your commentary on the mind, and so on. That means simply that. Bare attention is naked attention, you know. Like, for example, if I told you, do an exercise, okay, you're going to move your right arm like this, up and down, with bare attention. You can do it. Can do it. Right arm. Bare attention. Just, you're attentive. You know your arms is moving. You know the feeling in the arms, don't you? That's it. You can do the same with thinking. Most of the time we don't, because our attachment to thought prevents us from being that simple. Mindfulness is not so difficult, you know. If I ask any one of you, are you aware of your feet? Do you have to look at them? Do you have to ask them to be different? No. You're aware, you're mindful of your feet, you know. Are you aware of your hairstyle? Yes, aren't you? You don't need to look at it or have a mirror, you know already. That's just that much mindful is there. You have awareness of something you don't look at even. You just feel it, you just remember it maybe. Okay? Sati. Your recollection. So, why can't you do this with your thoughts, with your feelings? When they arise, you see them. When they pass away, you see them passing away. Right? But by golly, when feeling arrives, it's like a whole geyser come up, you know. You can open up the geyser from inside. And it's hot. It's a hot one. Right? So you learn how to, those guys are coming, it's okay, and then you feel the heat. And then if you're patient enough, you see the coolness afterward. So everybody has a chance to meet the Buddhist teaching. Everybody has the chance, the opportunity to practice. And then people complain they don't have any results. Then they spend the whole time complaining to their friend. They've got to go back to the teacher because they can't get any results. It's not good enough, and this and that, and I can't do this, I can't, my dog is still barking at me, and I thought with all the metta I have, I could finally kind of cope with that one. My wife, my husband, still shouting when I don't do the washing up. In India, it's not a problem, I guess, for some of you. Have people doing that for you, I guess. But this is how we are, and then we complain and we use our mind for anything, everything, and say, I can't get any result. Why do you think? I don't want everybody to become monks and nuns, but it's a profound path, a profound teaching that needs a profound interest to practice. That's why the Buddha, really focused on Dana, Sila, Bhavana. It's a path for lay people. Okay? Sila Samadhi Panya is more like the seven noble eightfold paths, that all these things that he taught, the monastics, as a higher teaching. Not higher in the sense that you are worse and we are better, it's not that. It means it takes you to liberation, but in this lay life you also have to look after your family, your parents, your children, your work, your health, you have to earn money, you have to pay the rent, you have to, it's very different from a monastic life, do you understand? So we cannot yet help you, we can give you some tips, some points on how to practice. But one of the words which I love most in Buddhism, which is not a lazy, a term for laziness, is contentment, santuti. Santuti comes from peace, santi. Okay? Contentment. It's like each day you do your bit. Each day you bring peace to your mind. Each day you recognize, you simplify your mind, not as a simpleton, but you simplify your mind to help the mind to stop worrying all the time, to stop constantly being anxious, being fearful, frightened, being critical. I mean, the mind just loves a good gossip and a good sort of natter about somebody you hate. Natter, you have that in English, India? Yeah. A good chat, basically. Chit-chat. So you also have, I think it's very important to realize that, to have compassion for the unenlightened and conditioned mind. You have to know what it likes. There's nothing more fun than to gossip about nasty thing about somebody. I mean, I spent quite a few years doing that, and you recognize the truth. My mind just not now, I mean, this is finished for me, don't worry. But there was a time when I recognized the reality of it, is that I love, like many people, I'm not the only one, at the time, there's nothing more satisfying to dump onto somebody all the nasty thing you think about somebody else. And if they agree with you, hooray, you really have done a good job. Of course, the person has been criticized might not feel so good afterwards. Do you understand? Maybe it doesn't happen in India, but we live in America or anywhere else, So it's a natural thing. It's a natural thing. Once you know that the mind is like that, the mind is critical, it's angry, it wants things to be better all the time. You look at somebody, immediately you see all the wrong things. I know that one. I had a critical mind myself. You can't think of something nice. After you know them for a few hours, you already put them in a box. No good. Good, no good. Semi-good, half good. Wonderful, superb, da-da-da. All these little boxes of judgments, So, you have to have peace with this mind because you live with it all the time. And the Buddha didn't say that you get rid of it by hating it. You get rid of it by noticing it's changing all the time. For one thing, that's wow. That's a relief, isn't it, to know that it's changing. And the Buddha adds, it's not yours. Whew. Wow. That's wonderful, isn't it? Of course, you don't have to believe the Buddha. Now you have to actually find out yourself. Because it does grip inside stuff that we are a bit more slow than just reading the word of the Buddha. Do you know what I mean? You have to realize that reading and thinking is very quick, very fast. Yes, now I know. You know everything. In an hour you can figure out the Buddhist teaching. Right? And then you complain because it doesn't go fast enough in terms of realization. Insight. Now the insight is just the beginning. Then you have to implement it to make the whole system work with it. Understand? To continue the training. The insight is a clear view about something. You see it clearly without any doubt. And it's not so easy, I remember, you look at a thought, you look days after days, you look at thought, thinking. But my experience, at some point, I had this experience of seeing a thought in such a way that it will never come back. I mean, I didn't plan it not to come back, but I knew, I saw it as a thought, object, something as an object. It was clear, there was no doubt, it was just a thought. But we can spend 10 days on retreat looking at thought, back, forth. We haven't seen yet that it's an object of the mind. Do you understand? It's still me, still mine. A bit more peaceful, we kind of calm down a little bit. So, this is a great gift when you can see a thought truly as a thought, as an object. And basically you're renouncing all your old life. It doesn't mean you have to renounce your conventional life, you don't have to walk out of the house and say, goodbye, my wife, I've decided that Ajahn Sundara say I have to renounce the old life. I'm just following her advice. I've got to go. I know somebody who did that 40 years ago. She had 2 kids or even 3 kids, a husband, a beautiful cottage and everything. After a while she decided to leave the whole family to continue her path. To be really stupid to do that. She's now a wonderful practitioner, mind you. She's a very nice person. But there we are, at some point we get this wrong idea, And obviously our practice has borne some fruits because her children are with her and very loving to her, But it's not like we have to necessarily, you have to, as somebody, they have an element of trust which is very important. If your karma is not to be a monk or a nun, don't worry about it. Start getting on the path and purify the heart where you are. Every moment where you are. That's all. Don't wait for tomorrow. You could be dead. What's the point of worrying about tomorrow? That should give you enough energy to start going, and start the mind moving. What can I do? What's right? It's amazing. It's really a good, a good incentive to start looking at your life and seeing what can I do to make this life a happier life. Not with grand projects. Start small. Start small. Little things. Then your mind is kind of connected with a sense of creativity, where do you start partaking of this life in a way that brings a good, that brings what is really happy, how can you do that? I mean, this is why I'm on this path, because I feel this, people ask me, like they ask Gandhi, what is the meaning of your life? Still, you remember when he's just in the train, he's just about to go, and the film of his life, movie of his life, and he said, my life is my meaning. And it's true. I mean, you realize that there is no meaning in life except what you do. Life brings meaning if you take care of it in a good way. So I'm sure we have many, many questions still left, and I think I'm going to give you. I know you have people maybe coming at 6 o'clock, and in a way you have a timetable, don't you? I think we have to keep the timetable a bit more. I have to keep the timetable a bit more clear, because people can get, Mr. Da is working overtime. It's okay.
Translate it?
I don't know. You translate it now, yeah.
प्रश्न था कि हम को कहा जाता है चॉइसलेस अवेयरनेस के बारे में, जो प्रश्न करता है वो लगता है कि आसान है, और दूसरी तरफ से कहा जाता है भगवान की शिक्षा में कि आपको उस इंटेंसिटी से ध्यान करना चाहिए जैसे आपका सिर में आग लगी हुई है, और इतनी संवेग से काम करना चाहिए। तो ये दोनों बातों में सामंजस्य कैसे बनाया जाए, तो समझ नहीं आता है कि क्या हमको अल्टीमेट सत्य तक पहुंचने के लिए सब कुछ छोड़ के मॉन्क या नन बन जाना चाहिए, या दूसरी तरफ से कहा जाता है कि आप सिर्फ जो हो रहा है उसको देखिए। तो आपने उत्तर दिया कि हम भी पहले शुरू में ऐसा सोचते थे, अजान सुमेधो से कहते थे कि आप जब हम यहाँ कोई है ही नहीं तो आप ट्रेनिंग किसको करना चाहते हो, इतना एफर्ट क्यों करते हो। और लगता था कि इतना एफर्ट करके जब बनी से कोई है ही नहीं, कोई शून्य है सब कुछ, तो ट्रेनिंग में और इतना एफर्ट लगाने की से क्या आपको नहीं लगता कि अजीब सी बात है कि हम नॉन बीइंग को एक ट्रेन कर रहे हैं? तो दूसरा उदाहरण उन्होंने दिया या खेमा की जो किताब है बीइंग नोबडी गोइंग नोवेयर, कि वो भी एक हमको एक जो इसका टाइटल है वही एक काफी विचार का विषय है, उस पर रिफ्लेक्ट किया जा सकता है। हमको ये समझना चाहिए कि जो वीर्य है, जो एनर्जी है, उसके बगैर शायद कुछ नहीं हो सकता हर चीज को करने के लिए। और केवल सिर्फ चॉइसलेस अवेयरनेस के लिए भी हमको एफर्ट की जरूरत होती है, और क्योंकि अवेयरनेस चॉइसलेस का मतलब यह है कि उसमें विजडम हो, अदरवाइज विजडम नहीं है तो चॉइसलेस नहीं होगी। तो हमको ये बात स्पष्ट होनी चाहिए कि स्पिरिचुअल पाथ जो है, जो धर्म का पाथ है, उसमें हमेशा पैराडॉक्स बने ही होते हैं, और उस पैराडॉक्स को हमको के साथ जीना सीखना पड़ता है। तो जैसे हमारा साधना आगे पुष्ट होती है, महम का भाव कम होता है, हम समझते हैं कि ये जो खन्नों का कॉन्ग्लोमरेट है और अपने अंदर जो समय समय पे लोभ और द्वेष और ये सब जागते रहते हैं, उन सब से जैसे वैसे हमको स्पष्टता से वो दिखते हैं, तो हमें समझ में आता है ये पैराडॉक्सेस क्यों आए गए हैं। जैसे उदाहरण के तौर पर मैं बताया कि एक वैज्ञानिक अगर चीज ध्यान से देखना चाहता है तो उसको बहुत गहराई से पूरे अटेंशन से भी देखना पड़ेगा, एक माइक्रोस्कोप के नीचे रख के ठीक से देखेगा, और इस तरह से स्किल डेवलप करनी पड़ती है अटेंशन की। वो स्किल हर चीज के लिए, अरंत बनने के लिए तो स्किल चाहिए, सामान्य जीवन में भी एक अच्छा फुटबॉलर बनने के लिए, अच्छा डांसर बनने के लिए भी हमको स्किल चाहिए होती है। तो जो चॉइसलेस अवेयरनेस है उसका मतलब ये है कि हमारा मन जो है ठीक से एडजस्ट हुआ है, ताकि हम जो भी जो कि हमारे सम्मुख अनुभव हो रहा है उसको हम स्पष्ट देख पाए। और फिर बाहर अटेंशन की बात होती है कि हम उस देखने के आगे कोई भी प्रपंच न चलाएं, और जो उससे दूसरे विचार उठते हैं उनको उठने न दें। तो इस सब के लिए ट्रेनिंग की आवश्यकता होती है, क्योंकि ये शब्द जो है अपने में डिसेप्टिव हो सकता है, और हमको समझना चाहिए कि साधना में, विधि में, हर भगवान की शिक्षा में और हर साधना विधि में इस तरह के द्वंद्व आने ही वाले हैं। और इसको क्लेरिफाई करने के लिए एक टीचर की भी आवश्यकता होती है, जो हमारे मन को रोकने में मदद कर सके, हमको दिखा सके कि किस तरह से हमारा मन जो प्रपंच बनाता है वो प्रपंच बनाने की आदत थोड़ी कम हो जाए। क्योंकि अदरवाइज हम जो इस तरह के पैराडॉक्स हैं उनको एड इन्फिनिटम इसी उलझन में रहे रहते हैं। तो उन्होंने उदाहरण दिया कि कोई भी चीज स्टडी करने के लिए हमको उसमें इंटेंसली एफर्ट भी करना पड़ता है। जैसे किसी अपने मित्र का बताया कि वो स्क्विरल्स पे रिसर्च कर रहे थे, तो बहुत अटेंटिवली उसको देखना था, और वो भी अपनी जो जजमेंट है, अपने जो प्रेजुडिसेस हैं उनको हटा के देखना कि जैसा हो रहा है वैसा हो रहा है, उसको ठीक से देख पाना, उसके लिए ट्रेनिंग की आवश्यकता है। बगैर ट्रेनिंग के वो ऐसा लगता है कि हम चॉइसलेस ऑब्जर्वेशन कर रहे हैं, लेकिन सामान्यतः हमारी अपने जो प्रेजुडिसेस हैं, जो हमारे प्रपंच है, वो उसके साथ जुड़ जाते हैं। तो उन्होंने एक उदाहरण के तौर पे कहा कि जैसे आप अपना दायां हाथ ऊपर उठाइए और नीचे उठाइए, तो क्या उसमें आपको अपनी उसके अंदर जो फीलिंग हो रही है मालूम पड़ती है? तो इसी तरह से क्या हम अपने विचारों के बारे में भी फीलिंग जान सकते हैं? और फिर पता चलता है कि वो काफी ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत है। बगैर ट्रेनिंग के उतना आसानी से हम मन के विचारों को, जो फीलिंग है उसकी जो वेदना है, वो समझने में उतने सक्षम नहीं है जितना कि हाथ को हिलाने की जो वेदना है वो हम समझ जाते हैं। और क्योंकि फीलिंग जो ऐसी चीज है जब आती है तो मन की खासतौर पे हमको ओवरवेल्म कर देती है, मन में हीट जनरेट करती है, मन में राग और द्वेष ज्यादा करती है। और अगर हम काफी समय तक उसके प्रति पेशेंस रखें, उसको धैर्य से बगैर उसके प्रति प्रतिक्रिया किए देखते रहें, तो हीट जो धीरे धीरे कम हो जाती है और कूलनेस की भाव आती है, जिसको कूलनेस को ही सक्षम कूलनेस को ही निब्बान की बात कही जाती है। तो हमको ये अपना सौभाग्य समझना चाहिए कि हमारे को भगवान की शिक्षा मिली है, और उसके अनुरूप चित्त को स्पष्ट करते हुए हम आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। और सामान्य जीवन में, गृहस्थ जीवन में खास तौर पे जो साधना का रूप है वो उसमें मैत्री का बहुत आवश्यकता है कि मैत्री का भाव ज़्यादा हो, क्योंकि पति पत्नी पे शाउट कर रहा है, पत्नी पति पे शाउट कर रही है, उससे कोई रिजल्ट आने वाला नहीं है। और भगवान की शिक्षा एक प्रोफाउंड शिक्षा है, तो उसके लिए सचमुच में प्रोफाउंड इंटरेस्ट की जरूरत है, वो हमारा उसमें उतना रुझान होना चाहिए। तो इसलिए कई बार वो गृहस्थों के लिए मार्ग बताया जाता है दान, शील और भावना का, और जो मोनास्टिक्स हैं उनके लिए कहा जाता है शील, समाधि, पंजा, जिसके कई बार हायर पाथ कहते हैं। वो हायर का मतलब ये नहीं कि कोई उससे ऊंचा है, वो गृहस्थों के लिए भी उपलब्ध है, लेकिन स्टार्ट कई बार हम दान, शील, भावना से करते हैं, क्योंकि हाउस होल्डर्स की, गृहस्थों की बहुत सारी ड्यूटियां हैं। उनको पैसा कमाना है, माता पिता का ख्याल रखना है, बच्चों का ख्याल रखना है, समाज में रहना है। तो वो सब काम करते हुए जो साधना कितना कर पाएंगे उसमें शायद कुछ लिमिटेशन हो सकती है, लेकिन सबसे बड़ी महत्वपूर्ण बात जो गृहस्थों के लिए है संतुष्टि की बात है, कंटेंटमेंट की बात है, कि हर दिन हम जो है अपनी साधना को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए जितना भी थोड़ा काम कर सकते हैं उसमें संतुष्टि रहे और धीरे धीरे आगे बढ़े। क्योंकि अगर हम कंप्लेंट करते रहेंगे परिस्थिति से कि ये हमारी परिस्थिति ऐसी है कि हम साधना अधिक नहीं कर पा रहे, तो उससे चित्त विकारों से ही बढ़ेगा, फायदा उससे लाभ नहीं हो पाएगा। क्योंकि क्रिटिसिज्म जो है वो हमेशा नेगेटिविटी की ओर ही ले जाता है, उससे हमारी साधना में लाभ नहीं होता है। और जो क्रिटिकल माइंड है उसको हर चीज में बुराई ही दिखती है, हर चीज में कमी ही दिखती है, तो वो लोगों को आइडेंटिफाई करता है कि नो गुड, ये थोड़ा बिल्कुल किसी लायक नहीं है, ये थोड़ा बहुत लायक है, चलो ये थोड़ी कुछ ठीक है। तो इस तरह की जजमेंट करने से हमारे मन में शांति नहीं आती है। हमको अगर हम जजमेंट भी करते हैं तो फिर उसके प्रति भी हमारा मन, वी शुड मेक पीस विद दैट, और इसके ऊपर भी अपने आप को प्रिटार्गेट नहीं करना चाहिए कि हमें किस तरह से इसको हटाएं अपने बात को। जो भी हो रहा है उसको जानने की बात है, क्योंकि हम समझें कि ये जो है परिस्थितियों का उठ रहा है, अनित्य है और वो मेरा नहीं है। तो ये बात अगर हम सचमुच में हृदयंगम कर सकें, सचमुच में समझ जाएं, तो फिर इन सब जो उठने वाले उफान है वो हमको नीचे नहीं दबा के रखते, हमको हमारा को दुख नहीं देते। कुछ चीजें उठती हैं और हम उसको जानते हैं और वो निकल जाती हैं। जो इनसाइट की बात कही जाती है वो उसका मतलब है क्लियर व्यू, मतलब हम ठीक से देख पा रहे हैं। और जैसे विचारों की ओर मान लीजिए हम कहें कि क्या हम विचारों को ठीक से देख पा रहे हैं, कि समझेंगे, और अगर हम सचमुच में ठीक से देख पाएंगे, वो अपने अनुभव से बता रही हैं कि जब मैं कुछ विचारों को मैं बिल्कुल ठीक तरह से देख पाई तो फिर वो दोबारा आए नहीं, वो समाप्त हो गए। तो क्या इसका मतलब कि हमारा देखने की जो तरीका है, जो दृष्टि है, जो समझने का, उसको विचारों को देखने का, कि बिल्कुल चॉइसलेस अवेयरनेस हो और पेयर अटेंशन हो, तो उसके लिए ट्रेनिंग की आवश्यकता है। तो एक तरह से जो हमारे पुराना नजरिया है उसको छोड़ के हम एक नया नजरिया अडॉप्ट कर रहे हैं। उसके लिए पेशेंस चाहिए, प्रैक्टिस चाहिए और उसके साथ विश्वास होना चाहिए कि अगर किसी का पुराना कर्म विपाक ऐसा है कि वो भिक्षु या भिक्षुणी नहीं बन सकते, तो उसमें भी हमको संतोष करके जैसी परिस्थिति है जो कुछ हम कर सकते हैं उतना ही करें, और उतना कर करके धीरे धीरे अगर हमारा चित्त के अंदर ये कंप्लेनिंग एटीट्यूड नहीं होगा तो उससे भी धीरे धीरे हम वी कैन बिकम मोर हैप्पी देन व्हाट वी वर अर्लियर। पहले से अधिक प्रसन्न हो सकते हैं, पहले से अधिक कम दुखी हो सकते हैं। और छोटे छोटे काम को भी महत्व देना चाहिए, बहुत ग्रैंड प्रोजेक्ट बना के करना ठीक नहीं। तो अगर हम छोटे छोटे काम में भी सफल हों और उसमें उस खुशी से मुदित रहे, तो हमारे जीवन में जो एक लैक का सेंस रहता है वो कम हो जाता है। कई बार हम सोचते हैं कि जीवन का क्या मीनिंग क्या है, तो समझना चाहिए कि हमारा जीवन ही उसका अपना मीनिंग है, उसका मीनिंग अलग से ढूंढने की आवश्यकता नहीं है।